Hello, friends. So, Bible study, NIV, Luke 22, and we're going to start out at 24. And I'm actually going to take it all the way to 34. What you should know before this is, before I read, it's the Last Supper. This is where we get communion from. It's Passover Seder for them. Because remember, Christianity is becoming in the story of the New Testament. It does not yet exist. What you've got are some Muslims, right? Some, I'm gonna call them proto-Muslims. Okay, so the beginnings of the Muslim religion, minimally, right? You've got Jewish people, and then everybody else, i.e. if you're any form of European, Italian, Greek, anything other than Jewish, Muslim, right? Then you are likely coming from a culture that has multiple gods, worship some form of nature, and are what they're calling Gentiles. Gentiles are the Europeans of all kinds. If you're pure white, then you're a Gentile, and you're likely worshiping multiple gods. You do not yet have a mono-God religion, because Christianity does not yet exist. So this is the Last Supper. For Jesus, it's Passover Seder. So he's having Passover Seder. It's called the Last Supper because it's the Last Supper that he will eat. That's why Easter and Passover are so close together. Easter is set, and it's not on one set day, because the Passover, the Jewish calendar runs different, and it has to fall in line with the Passover Seder. So even still today with Christianity, we're still following some parts of Jewish culture. We're more than you probably think we do. If you sat and talked with a parish priest or anything, you would probably find out how many things are throwbacks from them. Even like frankincense and myrrh. That's in the Old Testament. It's a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Most of the Old Testament comes from the Torah. So we're still following rules that he set then. Just not all of them. Because Jesus came and changed where the corruption was. Where the corruption had become. Because, the rules were changing over time when they weren't, not all of them were supposed to be. So, 24. Also, a dispute rose among them as to which of them was considered the greatest. This happened because Jesus informed them there was a betrayer. It's his last meal he's ever going to have. He's informed them that there's a betrayer amongst them. And first they're arguing over who the betrayer could be. And this becomes nuh-uh, I can't possibly be because I'm better than you. That's what's happening here. A squabbling, like they're siblings. Jesus said to them, the kings of the Gentiles, the Europeans, or in this case, the Romans and the Greeks, because those are the Gentiles they knew, lord it over them. That's true. They're literally the definition of entitled. And those who exercise authority over them call them benefactors. They came in and took all your stuff, and then they're giving it back to you in what they think you deserve after they've conquered you. Benefactors. But you are not to be like that. Instead, the greatest among you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves. For who is greater, the one who is at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who is at the table? But I am among you as one who serves. You are those who have stood by me in my trials, and I confer unto you a kingdom, just as my Father conferred one unto me, so that you may eat and drink at my table in the kingdom and sit on the thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, so we'll pause right there before we get into the last part here. So what he's talking about there is called servant leadership. Jesus didn't make the poor come to him. He didn't make the sinners come to him. He didn't make the sick people come to him. He went to them. He went to them with a, how can I help you? And that is what he's telling these apostles he wants them to do. But these apostles think they're going to be armored up with swords and go fight a war because they're thinking that they're gathering an army in order to overthrow. They don't know how all this be nice to other stuff is going to get the Romans gone, but that's what they think is going to happen. They don't understand until after he dies. Because he's not there to make a show of it. He's not there to worry about whether or not other people like him or what he's doing. He doesn't care about the cult of personality. Elijah said the Messiah would do the following things. He is doing the following things that Messiah said. He's living the servant leadership and the integrity. And he's like, why are you arguing about your egos, about who's greater, instead of helping who you're supposed to help? Why are you not understanding what I've been telling you this whole time? That becomes, the question there. And then you have, verse 31. Simon, it's Peter. Satan has asked to sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, and strengthen your brothers. But he replied, Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison or to death. Jesus answered, I tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times that you know me. So, firstly, I would Jesus knew everything that was going to happen to him. He knew that Judas was the betrayer. He didn't have to question who it was. He knew who it was. He also knew that Simon was going to betray him. Why? Because Jesus is actually a psychic. He can see the future. That's what that means. He can see it. And that's part of why it was a sacrifice what he did, because it's not like this unwittingly happened to him. He knew what was going to happen, and he sacrificed himself. That's why he's a martyr. Right? So they still don't understand, because Simon thinks there's no way he could possibly betray Jesus, because he thinks he's going to be suited up. He wasn't prepared for solo person in a crowd of people who want to kill you because they want to kill him. He wasn't prepared for that. But Jesus told him what to do afterwards, just as he's told us what to do. The devil asked to sift Peter like wheat, and he did, because Peter denied Jesus 3 times. But Jesus is already pre-telling him, I know this is going to happen. I forgive you for this happening. And I've prayed for you to get stronger. And what I'm telling you to do is after all that, right? Come back and strengthen the people around you. Strengthen your brothers. Go through the trials. Take on the servant leadership role that you're supposed to take. And come back and show others how to do it. How to alchemize their wounds. How to change their daily patterns to treat other people with some compassion, dignity, and grace, and how to do it with integrity. That's what servant leadership means. And it's really what he's asking for. Remember, we're not supposed to be in a state where one of us is greater than the other. We're supposed to be in a state where we view all people as also people, as equals. When we start thinking we're greater or lesser than other people's, what's really happening is we're saying we don't deserve, or they don't deserve, depending upon where you're taking it, the same things I do. They're not entitled to the same needs. They don't have the same needs. They don't have the same wants. They don't have emotions. They don't have any of the things that I have that I want to protect in myself. They're not entitled to any of that, and they don't have what I have. That's what the other mental and mind state even is. It's a justification for treating them poorly, because they are not one of me, so I don't have to be a good person to them. Sometimes it's okay not to be a good person. And he's saying it's never okay to treat another person like they're not a human being. It's never okay. And if you can't have the integrity to do that all the time, no matter who's watching, then don't expect a place in his kingdom. Don't expect for him to favor you. Don't expect for him to answer your prayers. Don't expect to just be handed anything, that kind of thing. I mean, I don't know what you're expecting for poor behavior. Because remember, he can see you all the time. He knows in every moment, every thought, every feeling, every moment. There's nothing you can hide. So the only thing you can do is ask for him to help. Let's see how many people we can be decent to today. Because sometimes we might just be the help he's sending to someone else.